Welcome to Sports Close-Up with Pete Chido, this is Mike Fiorello, and today's topic, Allegheny football, and we are with the new head coach of the Allegheny Gators, Rich Nagy. And Coach, thanks for coming on.
Oh, Mike, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Welcome back to Meadville.
Thanks.
Now, let's go through the whole process here, Coach. Where were you born and raised, and how you got involved in athletics?
I was born in basically Fairfield, Connecticut, and grew up split time between there and Florida.
Okay.
And really, I think it was living in Florida is where I have two brothers, and we really got a lot of time playing sports down there. They're big, obviously, down in that area, and baseball and football were the two primary ones growing up, and a lot of competition. With two brothers younger, both good athletes, and it was fun. And then basically we moved back to Connecticut before I went to high school, and stayed in Connecticut for college. And then basically, I think it was when I first started college. I think I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and that didn't really work out.
Sometimes being a coach is like being a lawyer.
Yeah, sometimes you feel it's a good trait to have. But it was around my junior year where I really realized I wanted to get into teaching. Mm-hmm. And one of my coaches, sort of impressed upon me with the whole part was, if you're going to teach something you love.
Sure.
And I don't know if I was, I majored in political science, minored in history type
mm-hmm.
thing. So I just don't know if I loved them enough to teach them. But football was what I, loved to do. So I, began my coaching career there, and spent one season and figured out that's what I wanted to do. And then, really came here the next year as a graduate assistant under Coach Voss at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this was my first real job, and then left here.
And that's the time, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Voss was building something here.
Yep, that was right.
Were building.
We won a conference championship
mm-hmm.
in that '88 year, and like I said, then I was able to move on, and ultimately was a graduate assistant at the University of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
My time here, when I was a graduate assistant, I met Coach O'Keefe. And Coach O'Keefe and I are both from Connecticut. We got some fans calling in.
Yeah, we got fans calling in. Sorry, Coach.
No, it's okay.
Coach O'Keefe got a hold of you.
So he basically, we're both from Connecticut, and really was a person I respect and looked up to, even in my started my coaching career. And he got me a graduate assistant job with Coach Ferentz, at the University of Maine, and he was there for a week, and I missed him, because that was the interim when he came back here to become the head coach, and spent 2 years there as a graduate assistant, and then came here in a full-time capacity to work for him. Again, I like to say I had my first GA job here. I had my first full-time job here.
Excuse me.
And these fans, they really love this right now. But and then left here and met up with him again at Fordham, and went to the University of Maine.
So you did coach with him at Fordham for a little bit?
I did.
1 year, guys.
1 year,
there, right?
1 year.
Fordham Rams?
Not a full year, but it was a short time period.
Mm-hmm.
But
and then he went to Iowa?
He went to Iowa. I stayed at Fordham and worked
Okay.
for Dave Clausen there, who's now the head coach at Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave was a really good friend and a good person to work for, and then went up to the University of Maine as their defensive coordinator, and stayed there for 5 years. And
Maine Bears.
Yep,
Right?
Black Bears. We had
the Black Bears.
great run up there. A lot of, won some championships. Had a lot of players we put in the NFL. So it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife's from Maine originally, so it was good for her to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we left there. And
Coach, when you guys were at Fordham,
mm-hmm.
where did you live? Live in Jersey? Did you live right in the city? Did you live in Long Island?
we lived in
Connecticut?
White Plains, New York.
Okay, upstate. Yep,
Yep,
I know it well.
Yep, right
I'm
on
originally
the border.
from New York, so I know the
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and basically, spent 5 years in Maine, and then had the opportunity to go to Murray State in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Real good program there, too.
It was great, great experience. Different area
Murray
of the country.
State's in the OVC?
OVC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Frank Beamer was the head coach there for a long time.
Yeah,
got
it's a
that
good
thing
conference.
going. So it was, like I said, it was a fun experience, and then left there and went to Hofstra for a year.
Long Island.
Yeah. Got closer to home, and then Hofstra decided to drop
They
football.
dropped football.
Yep. So that was a whole different experience, but it was good because we had played Western Michigan while I was at Hofstra that year, and we actually had a they beat us, but we played well against them. And at the end of the season, the head coach, Bill Cubitt at Western, was looking to make some changes with his defensive staff, and actually reached out to myself and our head coach at Hofstra at the time and hired us there. And we went there, and I was there for 3 years, 2 as the assistant DC, and 1 last as the defensive coordinator. And then unfortunately, after my third year there, the school decided to go in a different direction with Coach Cubitt. So fortunately, though, guy I worked with at Maine, Bobby Wilder, was head coach at Old Dominion, and they were transitioning from a FCS program to an FBS program, and made the trip there, and he hired me as his defensive coordinator. Was there the last 6 years, and it was a lot of fun, in that transition.
Mm-hmm.
Won a bowl game in the Bahamas, and
That's a nice trip.
it was a good trip, good reward.
Yeah.
But then, at the same point in time, my daughter had gone to Tufts University in Boston, basically, and it's in the same conference I played in when I went to Trinity. So, I'm a Division III player. Division III is where I got my start, and went to see her freshman year on one of our bye weeks, and basically, it was just around Division III football again for the first time. And knew their head coach well. Spoke to the team, did some things, and got a chance to spend a lot of time with the players and their families, and really made the comment to my wife that I missed it. I missed this level of football. I missed the closeness of everything that's involved with it. And
let's get into that a little bit, Coach. Division III appeals to you. Why does it appeal to you? Because some people, when they start coaching, their goal is to get to the D1 level.
Yep.
And maybe even become a coordinator or head coach there someday. You were in different levels at different times. You went to Fordham, you went all over the place. You went Maine, which is D1. What made you want D3?
It was just, like I said, it was just getting to sort of, get back to that. It's different. When you're at this level, there's a lot involved, and you're part of the process, I think, of them being a whole college student and a whole college athlete. There's, like I like to say, like when I worked at the Division I level, I was part of the athletic department. I was a staff member on the football staff. Here, I'm part of the college.
Part of the faculty.
There's more to it, and I think it's, and not to say it's bad or anything. It's just different,
It's different.
And I enjoyed coaching at that level. I enjoyed all those things, but this, like I said, this job opened, and I just thought it was, if I was going to do it at this level, like this was the place I wanted to do it at, and all the stars just sort of lined up in the right way and pointed me here, and
so
that's what I did.
So the Allegheny job opened. You had spent some time here.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew a little bit about it. I think when you were here, it didn't have a turf field back then.
No,
it
was all
correct?
grass.
That's
Actually, it was mud.
Yeah, it was mud. Exactly. No lights. But let me ask you this, Coach. What made you want to come back to this certain Allegheny College? Because you were here once before, or you looked? I'm sure you did some research about what a program is, and
I did.
so
And
forth.
it's like when you spent time in any one place, you always keep an eye on it, so to speak. And I've always followed Allegheny. It's you check the scores. And I knew there was a rough patch going on. In that mid 2000 era, and I saw how that sort of climbed to last year being 6-5. So, felt good. And but even during the whole interview process, there's still questions.
Sure.
It's like, if I wanted to do it, I wanted to, make sure, like I said, at the end of the day, I am committed to the mission of the Division III student athlete and the things it embodies, but I'm still a football coach, and I want to win football games.
Right.
So those things are important, and I think it's important to the experience. Not just for our athletes, but for the entire school.
Sure.
I think, having a winning athletic department is something that's huge, and something that carries a lot of pride. Not just on the students on campus, but through your alums.
Yes.
And I knew the type of school it was when I left here. And when I came on my interview, I wanted to see if it was the same type of school, and it was. You just met a lot of people who were committed to making sure that our student athletes and the students in general are successful here. And very committed to the whole liberal arts educational idea of, educating the whole student, and, it's not just about the time on campus, but it's, the time spent in the community off campus and things as your growth's concerned. And, I have a unique opportunity too to have been here and seen players that I've coached in the past and what they've become and what they've accomplished and what they are now. So I knew what an Allegheny education would bring them. So when I go in to recruit, it's not just like, hey, it's going to be great because people tell me it's great. Like, I'm seeing the effects from some people who are close to me. And those things are still here. Like, everything's still here. And now it's just a matter of, getting things in line so we can win, and, like I told the staff and I've told the team this, to me, it's not like if it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. It's got to happen right away. We got to have that mindset. And, I think we have some, really good players on the team right now. I think we've recruited a good class. I think there's still some things we got to get fixed with numbers and depth and those types of things are concerned, which I think will take place in another year and a half. But I like the core group that we have, and I think it's a good group of guys, and I think they work extremely hard. And I really believe that if you're a student who wants to come to Allegheny College, well, you want to come to a school that's a top school in the country.
Yep.
I mean, we're ranked, as the 76th liberal arts school in the nation, which it is a big thing.
Sure.
And if you're committed to getting that type of education, you're going to be committed to doing everything in your life well.
Right.
And if you're a good football player or a good athlete, and you have that type of commitment, you're going to be a really good football player. And we get a lot of them. We're going to have a really good team. So it's, it's just finding that mix of, the people who want that educational, drive and sort of challenge, and also want to be great in athletics. Because I think, you're a place that's nationally ranked academically, is we can be nationally ranked athletically. We just got to find the right person.
Coach, you mentioned that things are kind of the same in many respects here at Allegheny, but it's been, 22 years since you'd worked here last?
Yep.
How have things changed? What sticks out to you about either in Allegheny or in the Meadville community that you've noticed just being here back again and things that have been different?
Well, I think, obviously, I think the facilities up here, they've made a lot of commitment, obviously, with the turf field, the new turf field, building the soccer fields, and, there's a commitment, like facilities-wise, to athletics that wasn't here before. The Wise Center was just getting built when I was here. Now it's 22 years old, so it's been a while. Just going through campus and, seeing the additions with, like, the communications building and, just the renovations and some other things have been done. And I'll be honest with you, I was blown away when I went to the library and, saw the Learning Commons and Gateway, things they're doing to help the students. It was unbelievable. And after going through that process with my own daughter, of going to college, and seeing different things, it was a place I was like, hey, I would send her to school there, so, just seeing all that stuff and really within the community, there's a lot of differences, so to speak, but there's a lot of things that have stayed the same,
Right.
and it's funny, you leave here, like I think I was 30, maybe 31 when I left here, married, my wife was just pregnant with our first child.
Wow.
You're seeing things in a different way. Your priorities are different. You're still in that single mode, so to speak, and
Sure.
you saw it from a different standpoint. But coming back here now, and now I have a daughter who's a sophomore in high school too, along with one who just graduated college. Life's different, so your priorities change. Things are different, and I've been able to see a different. So it was probably here before, but it just wasn't what I at that point in my life, what my wife and I were about. But you see the different family things and the things that that the community has to offer, and it's been fun. And shoot, just having Home Depot in town now,
Right.
Things like that. It's like that whole area up top there's got built up with Walmart and all that stuff, and
Which wasn't there back.
wasn't there. It was, and just how there's been the changes to the community that way from a business standpoint, and I think when you see those types of things, that there's a commitment to building the community too. So those things have been really fun to see.
Because you've lived in all kinds of towns, big cities, small towns,
yeah.
doing this.
No, I have. And believe me, my wife lets me know that too. No, it's been fun. The way my career's gone, there's been some moves, but it's been a fun experience wherever we've gone, and we've really, as a family, always taken the challenge to embrace the communities we've been in. Coming from now Virginia, which we're in the middle of a city, to Meadville, which is a smaller city. But it's, there's different unique things to them. And I think when you look at each place that you've been and sort of just embrace, what's there and embrace the culture of it, it helps you as a family. And, it's tough when you leave places. Like I know, it's tough for me right now. I know it's really tough on my wife and my daughter, leaving a lot of friends back in Virginia that they've known for 6 years. But at the same point in time, they wouldn't have it any other way. They're not going to just stay themselves. They're going to embrace who they meet in the communities and make friends and do all those things, knowing that, it does hurt when you leave. But if you don't really get to know the people, you really haven't lived there either. So, like I said, we're excited to get to be a part of the community. I know we just had that, what was it called? Thunder?
Yeah, Thunder in the City.
Thunder in the City this past weekend. Didn't even know what was going on. That's how oblivious I've been to things. But until we drove downtown, saw everything but it was fun. It was a great event.
We got the fair coming up.
No, we got the fair. We got everything.
Hey, Coach, you touched on it. I want to bring this up because I was thinking about this. You said your daughter's going to be a sophomore in high school.
Yep.
So when you were thinking about applying for this job and applied, did you sit down with your wife, especially your daughter, and say, honey, there's a chance I might get this opportunity and I want to get this job. You're going to have to leave the school you're at and you feel comfortable you're going to have to move. How do you sell that to a 16-year-old?
I don't know you can. I really don't think you can. But she understands, probably. But like I said, it doesn't make it any easier initially. But she is a outgoing person, so I'm sure she's going to make friends. It's just this phase right now where you just moved in and you really don't know anybody. But she. That's always been the hardest thing, whenever we've had to move is telling the kids.
It's always tougher on the kids than the adults, right?
But they're resilient too, and they bounce pretty quick. And, it's crazy, but the same thing is in this day and age of like social media and all that stuff, the amount of, communication they can have, you really don't lose touch. Like I know when I moved as a kid from Florida back to Connecticut, you basically lost touch with people.
Right, different times.
We're now, shoot, I know she was on the phone yesterday with all her friends, FaceTime and stuff yesterday. So
which is amazing, that FaceTime.
Oh yeah. So she hasn't left them, but it is hard, and I'm cognizant of those and very thankful, for that, and for my wife. She's done a great job. Like I tell her, she's done a great job raising our kids, in spite of me, but. It's nice to have that support, and they're willing to be involved, and she's excited because she's at an age now. My daughter is where, she'll be on the field for practice. She'll come down for game day, and she'll be able to experience some things in the sidelines and some things she hadn't been able to do before, and she's excited about that phase too.
Let me ask you this, Coach: you get the job at Allegheny. Put you on the spot here. Is this the job where you're going to retire from, you think? You want to stay here and then build the program and then retire from Allegheny and retire from coaching and do something else?
No, I mean, I do. At the end of the day, I think this is, I wouldn't have come here if I didn't think it was a long-term situation, because, but I never know what's going to happen in life. You never know. But yes, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to stay. I want to get this program back where, I'll be quite honest, I won't, 6-4 was a good year last year. Yeah. But I want to get to the point where 6-4 is not a good year for us.
So you want to compete with the top echelon teams in the NCAC. It's a really good conference, as you know, and there's some real good teams in this conference, football, in every sport, football-wise. Let me ask you this, being that you were here and you coached under Ken O'Keefe, not only here but at Fordham, and then he went to Iowa, and then he went to Miami. I think he's back in Iowa now.
Yep.
Is he someone that you can call and pick his brain a little bit and say, or maybe steal some things to him and incorporate here at Allegheny, or maybe some things you guys did back then you want to bring back here?
No, yeah, we talk. I mean, he, like I said, he's been a big factor in my coaching career, you know, and, you know, he's one of those guys, maybe we don't talk for a couple months, but when we do, we just pick up, you know, where we were, and you know, he'll still call me up and yell at me. You know, he'll do things like, you know, it's funny, but you know, like here I am, the head coach now, and I've been a defensive coordinator at Division I level, all that. But he'll call and say things to me, and I feel like I'm his, you know, his first year assistant again. You know, like he'll handle, you know, but he called during, you know, a bunch of times during the summer, and you know, with some ideas and some different things. You know, things we're doing at Iowa that he felt like we may be able to incorporate here, and general program things. Then talked to me about some clinic speakers that he heard, who he thought had done a great job with their presentations on different aspects of the program and different aspects of just football. So it's, yeah, and it's amazing because, I mean, I know he's 64 now, and you know, he's got as much or more energy than, you know, most people. And you know, just the fact that when I get on the phone with him and he's telling me about these things, and he's still in a learning phase, you know, and he's as successful as he's been in his career, that at 64, you know, he's going out and still trying to learn things to get better. You know, it just reminds you that, hey, and I've always felt this way, that I don't know everything, I really got to keep learning. But when you see that happen from somebody that, you know, you really respect and sort of mentored you, it really hits home.
You know, he's an amazing guy. This a quick story on my end about him is when he was coaching here, as young as Megan, who was young. And now she's an accomplished person, but she was young, and I was coaching softball with my daughter, and she was on my team, and a great player. And then they went to Fordham, and you know, I always felt a lot about him. And then I was administrator here at the high school in Meadville, and one day a secretary said, "There's a coach out here, Ken O'Keefe, wants to see you." I'm like, well, he's recruiting the area of Iowa, so came to my office. "Hey, coach, how you doing?" He goes, "Great." He goes, "I had to stop by and see you and give you this book." Because Megan wouldn't talk to me. She said, "You're one of the nicest people she ever had coaching her." And she wrote this thing in it, and I only coached like when she was like 8.
Yeah.
And she was an accomplished soccer player in Iowa at the time, and I'm like, wow, that's so nice. But just to take the time to do that tells you about him. And also means a lot to me. What I think, though, tells me a lot about you, that you guys are connected still all those years. But you went a lot of places. You went to Fordham with him, you went to Maine, you went to Old Dominion. So you have a lot of experience you're bringing here to Allegheny also, correct? That you're probably taking little pieces from each area?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, I've had the opportunity to work with some really good people, you know, and with some really good people. And I think that's the biggest thing, is every step along the way you gather information. And, you know, there's things that you've seen that have been successful, and things I've seen that haven't been successful, you know, and you know, sort of trying to take a little bit of that from everywhere I've been, and you know, hopefully be able to apply the successful things and stay away and from the pitfalls of the unsuccessful things. But you know, it's the same way, and you know, I'm very grateful to Coach. The way he handled me as a young coach too was, you know, he'd give you responsibility, and at the same point in time, he'd watch out for you. You know, like he used to say to me, like at the end when, you know, I left him, so to speak, you know, I asked him, and that was his thing, was like, you know, if he knew I was going to make a mistake, but it wasn't a big mistake to the program, he'd let me make it on my own, so I can learn from it. If it was something that was going to affect the program, he was going to step in. You know what I mean? But I appreciated that.
So then that's something as a head coach now that you know what it's like to be an assistant, so you can let your assistants coach the area you give them responsibility to, and you'll oversee it and help them when they need it, answer questions when they need it, and so forth.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's and it's the same. You know, I'll give them direction, but I'm still sort of a sounding board, and they've been great. And you know, and that's where I've been fortunate. I mean, this is my first head coach job, but when you're a coordinator at the Division I level, you're really the head coach of that. You know, and the staff's 10 to 12 deep. There's a lot that you're running still on a day-to-day basis, you know, and the recruiting board for each and all those things. So it's not like I've never done that part of it.
Right.
It's just now with the offense too, and being able to implement, my feelings there and, my personality into that part too. And, we were very fortunate, to be able to hire the offensive coordinator we did, Max Beal.
Played here at Allegheny.
Max, who played center here. Some know him as Sumner. I don't know if he got witness protection or whatever, but he's back and forth. He is Max now, but Max is. It's crazy, but when I got the job, I was researching the top 10 offenses in Division III the last 5 years.
Smart.
And so the offense at Western New England popped up in the last 2 years, and then I did the research and saw he was the offensive coordinator, and he was a Maine grad. Now, again, you go through it, you're trying to figure out, is the head coach calling, is the offensive, whatever's happening.
Right.
And Max graduated here in 2014, just 5 years ago. So, and then being able to have common connections where he coached at Tufts University, which is where my daughter went to school, and she worked with the program. So she actually knew Max, like on her standpoint. And then talking to the head coach there who I knew and different things. And, everything just sort of pointed to him, after we spoke and did some things. So, and there was a few different people was talking to at the point, but, really it just was the right thing to be able to hire him and get him back here. Somebody who's gone to school here, so he's gone through what these players have gone through. He's gone,
knows about the academics, he knows
the
about
whole
the
thing,
requirements, and he's got to be excited about coming back to his alma mater.
Oh yeah, and he's a really good football coach, and he knows what he's doing, and it's really allowed me the opportunity to, sort of outline what we're looking at and step back a little bit, and let him, run his show, and the rest of the staff I was able to hire. I was able to bring back Ron Rankin, who played at Edinburgh, and Ron actually was a GA here in '87 before I was, a year before, and I worked for Ron. He was a head coach at South Dakota where I worked for a year under him.
A lot of experience.
Oh yeah, so it was very positive hire, and really when I ended up hiring him, my intention was to run the defense and have Ron help with the offense.
Right.
Ron's an accomplished defensive coordinator. He was offense early in his career, but after being here for a little while, I felt like hey, Max is really good. He really doesn't need a whole lot of help.
Right.
And the time commitments of being a head coach are different than being an assistant.
Yeah.
So I was able to move Ron into our defensive coordinator role. So now, I feel fortunate that I have two really good coordinators, offensively and defensively. And then, Van Hunt was on staff before I got here. He's going to run our special teams again, and he has a lot of experience with that. So now I'm able to be in on all those things, but not be the guy who's got to call everything on Saturday. So it allows me to sort of oversee the game and oversee practice and do some things.
Are you going to be on field or in the press box? The last coach was in the press box.
Yeah, no, I'll be on the field.
Talking to the players when
Coach Simmons asked me that. Our basketball coach asked me that same question, and again, to each his own. I just had never seen it before, so so I thought it was a weird question at first, but then when they told me, I was like, okay, I get it now.
And probably important to you. So if you need to communicate with a player about something, or help a coach make a decision or make a substitution or something. So let me ask you this: you're putting your whole staff together and so forth. What is your offensive and defensive philosophy for Allegheny coming into this season?
Offensively, we're going to be a spread team, try to stress the defense, both vertically, horizontally, get our guys in space.
Does that help you as a defense coordinator when you want to run an offense? Like, what gives you the most trouble when you're a defense coordinator?
Yeah, it does, because it keeps you up, the hard parts. You like to say, hey, we're going to line up and mash you, and because I still want to be a physical football team, and there's the physical part to football that you have to have if you're going to be successful. And in this part of the country, we got to be able to run the ball, because there's going to be some bad weather. It's really nice right now, but I know this could change in a minute. And luckily we have turf now. There's no mud that we're going to have to worry about playing in, and most teams do, but we're still going to have to be able to run the football, But I like being able to get people in space where you can get matchups and be in one-on-one situations and just understand that strains the defense, you know, and,
Right.
and really, and it fits the personnel we have here.
Right.
So that was the good part. So that's what we want to do, you know, try to work those matchups and, you know, stress the defense and force them and change tempos too, where, you know, we'll go fast, we'll slow down, we'll do some different things. Again, just to sort of,
You're gonna go no huddle. You're gonna huddle. You're gonna
yeah, we'll do it
you
all.
know, go to pistol formation. All that.
Yeah, you know, and again, it's like I said, great matchups, great stress
Right.
on the defense, and particularly defensive coordinator. You know, I know how
Yeah,
those
you know.
I know how those nights are when you're
Yeah.
you're worried about that all the time.
Especially
you
when
know?
you can't make a subs and
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to a defensive end because they're going hurry up all the time.
Oh, I've seen, you know, I've matched up with Coach Kiffin at FAU. I still haven't figured him out, but I mean, he's
A lot of
I mean,
people
a
haven't
lot of-
figured him out, but
no, but he's good. You
He
know,
is, he
Coach
is.
Brom, who's at Purdue right now.
Yeah.
You know, when he
Yes,
was
he's done a
at
good
Western
job there.
Kentucky. You know, like elements of their offenses are really good. You know, and it fits into what we're doing. So those are things, and Max already had experience in that, so that really
Right.
helped. That was part of that whole research part.
Sure.
You know, and then, you know, I've been a 4-3 guy,
Okay.
quarters, you know, pressure, take advantage of things, three-man stuff in some pass games, some spread out deals, and Ron and I talk, you know, continuously throughout our careers. You know, it's, you know, we'll talk like once a month and text like once a week during the season. So we've always batted ideas back and forth, you know. So I know we're on the same page there, and there's a few things that he did different than I did, but it's all pressure related, and
Sure.
I'm good with that. I like pressure.
Right.
You know, I want to be able to pressure offenses and, you know, force, again, you know, try to dictate a little bit. Now, in order to do that, you gotta be really solid and win certain down and distance.
You gotta get
so
off
you
the
can
field.
flip it.
You want to
know.
get off the field, right? You want
Yep.
your defense off the field so you can control get the offense back on the field.
Oh yeah, and even in the special teams, I want to be able to, you know, create field position, create
Yeah.
big plays. You know, they did a great job here with big plays in special teams
Yes.
last year.
Yes.
A lot of kickoff returns, a lot of great things, and I want to continue that. You know, and again, it's about putting stress on the other team. We
Did,
want to put stress on them.
Is Vickers back? The kid Vickers?
Oh,
KP Turner? Was it?
Victor.
Oh,
No,
Victor.
Alex Victor is back. Yes,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
he's
He'll be
a-
a senior.
He's quite a talented kid, that kid.
Him and Chase Bauer. And
Yeah.
Chase did a great job
Oh, yeah.
returning kicks too. So
Yeah, they both, yeah.
So we're gonna have both of them, and hopefully,
Nice.
you know, like I said, hopefully we don't have to kick return too many times.
That's right.
But when we do want to be able
Once a game
to,
would be fine,
that's
right, Coach?
good with me.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you this. Excuse me, Pete. How long did you watch film when you first got the job? I'm sure that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not film, but it's different today. But still, seeing what you had and what you needed.
No, we watched it. You know, I mean, a couple things. Just, you know, going through the roster.
Right.
You know, and then being able to watch the film, and you know, maybe not as much as you think. But when I first got here, because it was more about trying to get recruiting straight and all that stuff, and then, you know, as we got into recruiting, you know, and then before spring ball, watched a lot more, and then have watched a lot more during the course of the summer. And again, it's sort of, I mean, it's easy when you look at this league right now. I mean, you got Wabash, you got Wittenberg, and Denison.
That's
You
right.
know, they're, you know, the top three.
Big three.
And I've always said you gotta set what you're doing to beat the best that you're gonna play. You know, and if you do that, everything else should take care of itself. And I mean, Wittenberg, shoot, they were the other top school when I was here before, so nothing's changed. He's done a great job, and
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to continue to do a great job. And when you throw on his film and you look at the size of the O-line and you look at the
Huge.
skill kids they have, you're like, wow, that's,
Yeah.
you know. And then, you know, Wabash, they do their thing. You know, they're going to do what they do, and they're going to try and mash it and, you know, play some pressure defenses and do some things. But again, you can just see them like, this is what we do. You know, and this is what we're gonna do. And
They try to dictate to you.
yep.
Yeah.
And Wittenberg's the same way.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're different styles, but they've been the top two. And like I said, Denison jumped up last year, and you know, he's done a great job of building this program and
Yes.
you know, getting some things. And but it's just so like spent more time on those three maybe,
Sure.
and then also RPI, who we opened the season with, because we want to get off to a great start
At their place.
at their place, and they're nationally ranked.
Yep.
You know, I mean, shoot, our first, you know, when we play them, we'll play Wittenberg. Those are two nationally ranked
Do
teams.
you like the thing you have a buy in between?
I do. probably a little skeptical at first, but I like it at this point because it really almost gives us another week in camp. You know, they always say that your biggest improvement will be from week 1 to week 2.
Right.
Well, now we get week 2 to sort of take another few days to really iron some things out after playing a game, and then before
Especially
we go
with a
back
new
into
system
game
too,
plan.
right?
Oh
It
yeah.
gives them a chance to correct their mistakes and so forth.
Yeah, and then the other part is the offenses, particularly between like Wabash and RPI, are so drastically different
Right.
that it gives us some time to get some things ironed out, you know, before we play that type of offense. So it's a positive. You know, that's another thing I get used to here is back at Division III is the bye week. We didn't have bye weeks before, you know, so it's, you know, I'm used to just playing, and I'm always good playing, but it is nice to have a bye. Like to have it, I think, in the middle of the season,
Right.
just when you get a chance to catch breath. But we'll be fine exactly where it is.
Coach, camp's on its way. What's some position battles you're looking forward to watching to play out this year?
Everything.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, there's nothing set in stone.
I like that.
I've always believed that. You know, you get better through competition. You know, it's best people are going to play. You know, we just, like I said, we went through this as a staff the other day too. It's, you know, it doesn't matter to me if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. If you're a junior, senior, yeah, you should have an upper leg because you've been in some situations. You know, at the end of the day, football's football. You know, so they've been through football at this level. But it's sort of like life. You gotta be ready to go every day. You know what I mean? And football's a little microcosm of that, and they got to be ready to go. And you know, the best ones are going to play, and the ones who are most productive are going to play. You know, and sometimes, like I like to say, it's not the best athlete, so to speak, but it's the best player and the best one who gives the other 10 guys a chance to be successful. So that's what we're looking for. And like I said, we'll come in. There'll be depth charts, but that'll just to get us lined up. And like I said, it's going to be a day-to-day battle. You know, not even quarterback. You know, we got a good group back there working. You know, I know Alex Victor's, you know, had some great success here, and some guys, you know what they're going to do, you know, but at the same point in time, you got a whole group coming in, you know, and I even hated being in a sit where I had to like redshirt guys, so to speak, you know, because you're talking about guys you recruited who've been the stars on their teams all the time, and you tell them you're not going to play them. You know, it's like if I'm competitive, I'm pissed off about that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I want our freshmen to compete, and you know, we need them to compete. You know, because not just, you know, I don't think you're going to win with 22 guys, so to speak.
Right.
You know, we need depth at every position, and our special teams. You know, we need to create core special team starters too. You know, so you know, you look at 11 offense, 11 defense, and then you know, like to get 6 or 7 core special teams guys that are on every one of your special teams, and then be able to sub in. You know, like I said, like each guy's going to practice and they're going to play the amount that they deserve to play,
Right.
so to speak. And if there's 2 guys in a position who deserve to play, well, shoot, they're both going to play.
So you're gonna,
You know,
you guys will be grading the personnel,
all every day.
film grading, and
Yep.
everything. Personnel-wise, you got a lot of freshmen coming in. Any hindrance of recruiting here at Allegheny? Were you given like free reign? These are requirements we want from our athletes. Go out and get the personnel that meets the requirements.
You know,
Program.
yeah, I mean, basically, you know, everything's within the structure of the school. You know, it's in, like I said, it's a good school. So you know, and I'll tell you this, like, and I've said this from day one, like, college is hard. So everybody would go to college.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and you go to a college like Allegheny, it's harder. You know, and that's why people come here. This isn't going to be a fit for certain people. It's just not. There's certain criteria that our admissions, you know, looks for, and I get it. You know, and you know, it's not a bad thing. You know, there's a lot of great schools out there, and there's a lot of places for everybody to go, and this isn't always going to be the fit for everybody, and that's our job, is to find, you know, people who fit here. You know, fit, you know, the culture of what we're looking for as a program, but also the culture of what we're looking for as a college. You know, so it's so we're trying to find those guys, and they're out there. We just gotta work at finding them.
Where is your recruiting? Is it all over the country? Are you focusing on Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Maryland, Jersey, Florida? What's your recruiting?
Yeah, we're recruiting, the Pennsylvania area.
Mm-hmm.
If you draw like a 3-hour radius,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak, the only thing I will say is, even into Ohio we're the same way, and
Right.
we want to do a great job in that radius. And really, we want 90% of the team hopefully can come from there.
And people don't realize, well, the D3 schools in Ohio, they don't have D2 to compete against like you do in Pennsylvania.
No.
You have a lot of D2 schools in Pennsylvania compete against recruiting.
We do.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, I think we've got a great jump on those people. And like I said, they're out there. But we have to, we got to go find them. We got to go make sure that it's good. Like I said, it's hard sometimes because, the fit might not be there.
Right.
And you got to realize that, and then you got to go recruit somebody else. But I think we can find a majority of our roster from this area, and then we got to go into some other areas. I was here before, and I've seen it. New England area has been successful. Down into New Jersey,
Right.
Virginia, down to Florida. For a few, but every one of those areas is just a couple. To just sort of supplement the class. We're not looking for one of those areas to be the area, so to speak. I really believe that you have to have extreme success within that 3 hours around you because, from a lot of reasons. Distance, it's been proven the closer you are, the better and more likely you are to graduate and be successful, and stay in school and stay there for 4 years and all those things.
Because family can watch the game.
Families can come,
Right.
you get back and forth. But, you're not going to be able to find everybody
Right.
from this area. And it's just not the way it was or is today, So, but I don't think we can go into just one area or two areas and say, hey, we're going to get everybody
Right.
from there to come here and expect to be successful, because then people would come and they would leave. And now we're starting over again.
Because of social media changing so much since the first time you were here, and how important is it to you to reach out to the alumni, the football alumni and so forth, and maybe one or two of them could, send you a text or something, say, Coach, this is kid up here where I live. I think maybe you want to check him out. He might help your program and so forth.
Extremely important. They've been great. I send an update to our alums like once a month.
Nice.
And it's the same thing. I ask them anybody they see, and I get a lot of response. I just got another one yesterday. And it's good. It helps us. Identify some people, and helps to know that there's somebody that loves this school that's willing to say, hey, this is a guy you should look at. So you look at those guys a little bit differently too.
Coach, completely off topic, you were running back in college, correct?
I was.
I
I used to be fast.
Is that right? So I was going to ask, what type were you, like a Barry Sanders?
I was a little every. I was fast. I wasn't blazing, but I was fast enough to
It's like a Tucker
outrun
Frederickson.
people.
That's the name from a while back.
Yeah. I was a good cutback runner.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
But no, it's that was a long time ago.
Do you remember the hardest you were hit?
No, I've been hit a few times, really. Yeah. You don't forget those. Like I had a couple concussions. Believe me, there was a couple.
Didn't have these nice helmets back then.
No, stuff's a little lighter these days. But yeah, that's the one thing. Like people like, do you miss playing? I'm like, no, I stand on the sidelines. Those guys hit really hard. It's a fast game. It moves quick. It's fun to coach it. But like I know I couldn't go out there and survive. The hits, and that's the thing. There's been a lot of changes in football since I started coaching, and just the amount of contact times you can. I think it's all for the better.
Yeah.
It makes we really have to watch and really be sharp at how we coach things, and knowing that you're just not going to hit as much as you used to, and I think that in the long run saves the body too, and saves guys some like extra things they don't need.
It's a whole another thing you have to be conscious of as a coach too, is how your players are practicing and how they're getting ready and how they're affected on the field. How you have to
Yeah.
It's a whole other layer for you guys.
No, I think it's hard, especially defensively. Things get more limited, so your time to, like, or not time, but to be able to practice tackling, in a live mode, becomes a challenge.
Yep.
Because you can't do it. I mean, you'll run out of people. Everybody will get hurt. Yeah, but you have to simulate that the best you can. And then again, that goes back to the offensive philosophy. I know how hard that is to do, so now you get it in space, and it's, you guy may get, like Alex Victor may get tackled for a 5-yard gain. That's great, And like I told our offense, hey, the great thing is it's 5 yards. That's a lot.
It's forward.
You know what I mean? Yep. We're going, we're moving, but that guy misses them. It may go 50, 60. You know what I mean? And there's a good chance he may miss. It's hard. Like, that's hard stuff. So, like I said, it shapes philosophies both ways. What you have to do.
Has that been the biggest change from your playing days to the game of football? Is how you don't get to hit as much in practice?
We're not doing Oklahoma drills like that.
No.
Like when you played.
No, and, we won't give them salt tablets when they leave the field. There's a lot of obviously a lot of advances in sports medicine and those types of things, and we understand things better. Understand the heat, understand. Like energy, fuel, body, like, diets, nutrition. It's really created a science, to a lot what goes on. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to who's going to work harder, But you're conscious of the other aspects that maybe they weren't conscious of back at a certain point, And it's really, I mean, it always was a year-round deal, so to speak, because of working out, but it's become even more year-round from other aspects, not just the lifting and runnings, but watching what you eat, your diet, your sleep, everything coming together. So there's a lot more to it these days. Even the stretching and rollers and taking care of the body maintenance, and like, that's been a big change that I've seen, particularly in the last 10 years. I know when I was at Old Dominion, we had our guys on these trackers, GPS trackers, during practice. So after practice, you got all the, how much they ran, how much they were running at full speed, how much, try to alleviate soft tissue injuries, things like that.
Nice.
And the one thing it did was it made us think about what we were doing, how we did it, to try to make sure we stayed healthy and didn't have, like, unforced injuries, so to speak. So, and again, that's affected how I look at how we do things, and affected how we did things there, and just more knowledge to all that stuff. There's there's and even the other part is the other part that's changed a lot is the whole analytics part of calling a game. Like, fourth down isn't necessarily a kick down anymore. It's
depends where you are, distance.
Depends on where you are, like who you're playing. How much where the ball is, what their propensity to score. Do they? It's like when you delve into the analytics and you have people that do it for you. You're going to find out that they may score like 80% from the 40 and 80% from the 20. So if you're an offense, there's really no difference of going forward on fourth down from the 40 or the 20. It's the same odds giving them the ball back in either area or punting it. So, like, those are the other parts. Like, so, like, different teams may be, like when we played Western Kentucky and Jeff Brom was the head coach, like, they were going to score 90% of the time. And it wasn't on us. It was on everybody.
Right.
He's doing the same stuff at Purdue.
Didn't matter where.
So we went in the game going, it was fourth down on the plus 10, we were going to go for it. And I'm like, well, might want to slow that, because it was the same percentage, like whether it was there or there. So, and I get it. I get it from a mathematical standpoint. Right. But I'm still like, hey, I'd still rather try to get him to drive 50 yards as opposed to 10. But when you look at the math part of things, it's changed thinking, it's changed the way you approach it, and there's a lot of elements that go into that whole part now.
So you have to balance what you know about football and what the math says.
Yeah, it's all I mean, it's even like Major League Baseball with all the stuff they do. It's all probability and statistics. And the way it was described to me, and it makes so much sense. It's like, if it's saying something's 80% of the time, well, you have to do it all the time for it to be 80%. You
Right.
can't pick and choose the situations, because then the data will get skewed. So it's crazy, but a lot of it goes back to like the point spread
Right.
initially,
Right.
because the parameters get set through the point spread, and then you work everything through there. So it's it all goes back to Vegas. Vegas
well,
knows
now
everything.
you can bet anywhere.
Oh,
Any
yeah, yeah.
casino in the country. Coach, camp's going to start shortly. You and your staff got to be chomping at the bit. I'm sure you guys are going over some things, and in your mind, probably when you're laying in your bed and so forth, you're going through your schedules and what you want to do, and it's going to be exciting for you, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be real exciting. It's like, it's excitement and nervousness all in one.
Sure.
Because it's you want to make sure we got everything planned out the right way, and we're going to hit everything that we need to hit. But want to get back on the field and get going again. I mean, even during the spring, it was great to get on the field.
Right.
Which is another big change for Division III.
Yeah.
Now spring practice.
Right.
So we're able to get out and do some things, but there's no equipment, there's no helmets.
Right.
So you're still sort of guessing how good somebody may be. So now we're going to get out here, and we're actually going to be able to have some contact situations and be able to see some things that we did in the spring.
Are you a coach that wants a lot of it filmed so you can go in and look at the
Oh,
film?
yeah. Everything will be filmed. I'm a big believer in, even with the coaches telling them, don't spend a lot of time, coach it on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get as many reps as we can. If somebody's having a problem, get them out.
Right.
Don't slow down the other 21 guys out there, because it's a game of repetition.
Right.
The more reps we can get, the better we're going to be. We film everything, so that's why we'll watch it, correct it. But the first thing, like I told the staff, always look for is the effort parts. Because if we get effort on every play,
Right.
and they give us their effort, they'll get the other stuff right. But sometimes you can get caught up in the technical aspects
Right.
that you lose track of that. And it's like, don't lose, get them going fast and figure it out.
You don't want them thinking, you want them reacting.
No, and that's the thing. I heard something over the summer that was really hit home. It was really trust the talent, and you really want to be able to get them as many reps as you can, so they can trust their talent to make plays. Because, like you said, you don't want them hesitating. You don't want them thinking. You talk even I'm talking about tackling. It's petrifying when you watch a guy in space, but you got to tell that guy to take a shot. Don't, people use that term breakdown. You know what I mean? I want to get rid of that. Because breaking down tells you to stop.
Yep.
Where you got to take controlled shots into your tackle, so to speak. And it's the same way with what we're doing. It's all got to be going.
Sure.
And that's what we're excited to do. Get going and get everything moving along, and we'll take our shots, and we'll feel good about it at the end of the season. It's like one thing we can't it's like a game. Season's like a game to me. You can't control what the score says.
Mm-hmm.
You can only control what you do in that play.
Mm-hmm.
So if we focus on every play, at the end of the day, we'll let the scoreboard tell us what happened. Same thing, we can't
That's right.
focus on 10 games. We'll focus on just one play, getting better, playing that game, and then at the end of the season, we'll see what the record says. But we got our long-range goals that we know what we want, but we got to keep our focus on a day-to-day basis too.
Coach, got to ask this before I let you go, because you could see by Pete's hat, he's a big Indian fan. There's a lot of Indian fans in this area. People might not be aware, I think some might be, that your brother pitched for the Indians back in the day when they have a good team now, but they have some good teams then too. How's Charlie doing?
He's doing great. He's he lives out in California.
Mm-hmm.
He was working for the Angels the last few
Right,
years as
right,
a pitching coach.
Right.
And, he loves baseball. I got a chance to catch up with him at the All-Star game. That was over in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He was out doing some things, and but he's he's got a great family. He's got 2 girls also. Our girls are a year apart. So it's it works out well. For us, when we get together, it works out well for him. And but it's good. I know he's excited. for this too. And
Nice.
I know he's getting ready to come out, figure out when he's going to get out here.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah, it'll probably be before it gets cold, I would assume.
Smart.
Although when we were in Michigan, he came to visit. He particularly came in the snow
Snow.
because he wanted his kids to go skiing
Yeah.
or sledding or something they hadn't done.
And experience that, sure.
Yeah, so no, but he's, like I say, he's enjoying things. I know he's not in baseball every day right now, but
Right.
he misses that part. And
Maybe get back in it someday. Or
he will. I know he's got, I think it's just sort of, family, it's important. His youngest is a year older than my youngest, so she'll be a
Sure.
junior in high school next year. It's important for him to be with the family parts right now, and but I'm sure he'll get back into the coaching and some other sides of it soon.
Tell us your wife's name and your daughter's names.
My wife's name is Erica.
Okay.
And
I'm sure she'll be at the games.
She will. She's ready to get going. She's trying to get the house ready
Yeah.
so we can have some people over too.
Nice.
But she's going. And my youngest daughter's Erin, and then
Okay.
my oldest daughter's Jordan. So.
And is she done with college or?
She's done with college. She's out in Boston,
Nice.
in that area, working for a company called MITRE, which does like Department of Defense work. She was a engineering, computer science
Right, young
major.
lady.
So way smarter than I am, believe me. Way smarter than I
Nah,
am.
that's not true. It takes a lot to be a coach too.
No.
And coach, I want to ask you this too about your family. Family's everything, isn't it? So when you have a family, and that means so much, but I think, doesn't that help you as a coach? Being you had two daughters, like when you recruit kids and when you're talking to kids when they're going through stuff, because even when they go to college, even when they're athletes, they're still going through stuff.
Oh yeah, they're always going to do it. Being a coach helped me as a parent,
Yeah.
and being a parent's helped me as a coach.
Sure.
It's gone hand in hand. I grew up with two brothers, so having two daughters was a totally different experience for
Yeah.
me.
I know the feeling.
But I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
It's been they've been great. Like I said, Mom did a great job. I just sort of pitched in every now and then, but they're both extremely intelligent. Both have great hearts. Great people. So couldn't be more proud of what both do. But I also come on. My daughter went to college. I saw her go through some hard times.
Sure.
Early. Some homesickness. And,
Yeah.
and she's probably as adjusted as anybody to moving, that I would think. But you realize those things with the kids you coach, and just the different things that they're going through too, and they helps keep me connected, so to speak. With different things with social media,
Right.
culture, all the stuff going on today. So like that's always been something they've helped me out with too. Not only the players, but my daughter's making sure I know what's really going on in the world, and keeping me focused.
Well, Coach, we want to thank you for a few minutes. I think Allegheny made a great choice in bringing you back here, Coach. I can talk about talking to you just for a few minutes. You're a person of extreme character, and I think Allegheny football will flourish under your leadership.
I appreciate that. It's great to be back.
And for Pete Chido, this is Mike Fiorillo saying thanks for watching Sports Close-Up on Armstrong.